I'm Stuart Zeckman, and as a movement liberal, I'm well aware of how, in the last century at least, organized labor has made our American way of life possible. Ordinary people organizing to make a better life for themselves is a big part of what made America great. Being a free, first world country seems to have a lot to do with people's freedom to organize. You want child labor? Go to countries where people are not free to organize. You want unsafe working conditions? Go to countries where people are not free to join a union. You want your family using unsafe products? Buy from countries where people work for nothing. But the evidence that organization is deeply tied to being a first world nation is not just in the places where people aren't free to get together. It's in the countries where they know that's their right. You want the best schools in the world? Go to Finland, where literally 95% of teachers are unionized. You want the best engineered products in the world? Go to Germany, the world's largest exporter from 2003 to 2008, and in 2009, after the big crash, it remained the second largest exporter. Most of the country's exports are in engineering, machinery, automobiles, chemical goods, metals. Germany is a leading producer of wind turbines and solar-powered technology. And they make Mercedes cars over there, right? Which is why 2011 was a record-breaking year for the German economy. German companies exported goods worth over $1.3 trillion, the highest figure in history. And of course, Germany is highly unionized. You want a high standard of living? You want quality? You want to live in a first world country? Well, that means people with democratic power in the economy, and that means the freedom to organize. But there is something really odd about American unions these days. It's almost like unions don't know how to negotiate. That's crazy, right? That's like one of the biggest reasons people even have unions in the first place, to negotiate on their behalf. What is the point of unions that can't negotiate? Now, let me give you an example. Just this month, leaders of the AFL-CIO unanimously endorsed President Obama for re-election, saying he has moved aggressively to protect workers' rights, pay, and health, and safety on the job. This is 1 year after the AFL-CIO president, Richard Trumka, basically declared independence from the Democratic Party and said he would use this new super PAC funds mainly to get union ideas out to ordinary people instead of being a mouthpiece for the Democratic machine. What did working people interested in organizing get out of this administration in 4 years that deserves such a ringing endorsement before the Republican primary is even over? What do they do? What was aggressive about their protection of workers' rights, pay, health, and safety on the job? I don't see anything. The Employee Free Choice Act? Isn't that, like, dead? What did Obama do exactly other than signing the Federal Aviation Administration bill into law, which makes organizing there harder than ever before? You know, all I've heard from the president on unions has basically been this third-way Democrat trope about wanting to fire more teachers. And, you know, going back to Finland, for example, where the teachers are almost all in unions and they have the best education, there's something else that's interesting about those unions in Finland. Unlike here in the United States, the teachers' union in Finland is not linked to any political party. And maybe the fact that they are deliberately, specifically, not carrying water for their politicians has something to do with why they actually get to negotiate for a better system over there and have any power at all. Most troubling of all, it seems as if, in addition to going back on their promises, their Declaration of Independence, and being apparently unable to negotiate their way out of a paper bag, except when it comes to putting a local tax or toll on bridges people drive over every day, I haven't heard one peep out of organized labor when it comes to repealing Taft-Hartley. You know, that law the Congress passed during the McCarthy era that treats working people like they're all suspected communists and makes it illegal to hold a general strike about anything, that makes secondary boycotts prosecutable as a racketeering offense. That law that treats strikes not duly authorized by union leadership like it's organized crime. Wouldn't repealing the law that keeps people from striking in sympathy with other workers truly mean employee free choice? At this point, employee free choice probably has something to do with not being represented at the negotiating table by unions that can't keep their promises, put their workers in the pocket of a National Democratic Party whose third-way intellectuals and think tanks are busy devising anti-union policies, and don't even seem to be aware that Taft-Hartley, which takes away almost all the power to organize that people in other first world countries get to have, is the law of the land. And I'm not even going to get into how big unions screwed the rest of us on things like net neutrality and other issues where they should have had the backs of the American people, but didn't. So maybe right about now, organized labor ought to get into the business of proving to the American people just exactly what they're there for. Maybe when it comes to basically being dues-paying employees of the Democratic Party, organized labor ought to prove that they can actually negotiate on behalf of anybody for anything before the 2012 election is over. I'm Stuart Zekman, and this has been the Z-Files.